this does not mean all people who are homeschooled are rocket
Right.
scientists who
Sure.
love life and never get depressed. It doesn't mean that.
I want to talk about the success of the homeschooled kids now who are into their adulthood, because we've heard, of course, that, there are adults who are like, oh, I hated being homeschooled. It was a terrible thing for me. And then you've got adults who are like, I was homeschooled my whole life and it's been amazing. And you have definitely both ends of the spectrum. And then, of course, as homeschooled parents today, we worry about whether or not our kids will make it into adulthood successfully and what that will look like. And when I say successfully, I know Dr. Ray's heart is the same. I don't mean being able to get the best education with the best job so that they can make the most money and have the biggest house and the best vacations. I mean, success according to what God has called them to do. So talk a little bit about success of the homeschooled in adulthood now.
That has been studied in many different ways. I've got to do a few of those studies, and some others have done it. And so they range all the way from, okay, now you're an adult. How often are you depressed? Okay, how much are you into alcohol abuse? How, if you went to college, what's your GPA, and did you finish college? Do you vote? Do you trust the government? I mean, there's so many fascinating studies about adults, but here's all of those together. When you put them all in one big, pot, stir it up. Get this one: 69% of peer-reviewed studies on adults who are home educated show that they are doing better statistically than those who went to institutional schools. So in other words, the large majority of the studies say they're doing better. I mean, so what about the other 31% of the studies? Most of those say, hey, no difference in what we measured. So in other words, they're doing as well or better, less addiction to drugs, less depression, less problems acting out toward other people, doing better in college if they go to college. So that's just what we know so far. I mean, again, Yvette, everybody has to remember, this does not mean all people who are homeschooled are rocket
Right.
scientists who
Sure.
love life and never get depressed. It doesn't mean that. But it
Right.
does mean, as a group, there's something about home education that is helping people
Yeah.
more than other people. And you
Yeah.
kind of mentioned something there for a minute about, we have all these stories of, well, I was home educated, I hated it. Well, I was home educated, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Remember, those are just anecdotes. And now this is my experience. I'm going to tell you my experience. Most of the ones who say it was bad, they were raised by Christian parents, and they themselves now, these adults, are not Christians. Okay, they're making complaints about the philosophy under which they were raised. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
all the schools, we said, whether they're public schooling, private school, or homeschooling, teach a philosophy to their children. And you know what?
Right.
Some of them, when they get older, reject that philosophy. Some people who were raised in
Right.
public schools, who were taught a secular, humanistic, evolutionistic, statist, Marxist, LGBTQ philosophy, they reject that and they become Christians, right?
Right.
So you have the same thing with homeschooling.
Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah.
if you look at it kind of from a researchy, quantitative, qualitative perspective, the home educated are doing better in adulthood.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.